You're watching Fox 17 News, Nashville in Focus.
Good Sunday morning, everybody. I'm Scott Couch. We're talking politics for the next half hour. I've got two Democrats, two Republicans, and going to be taking a bite out of several of the things that are happening both locally and on the statewide level. If you're looking for national politics, there are other shows, but I think if you're in Tennessee, you're going to like this one. Let me introduce our guests and we will wade in. Steve Gill, attorney and political analyst, also publisher of the online news site TriStar Daily. Jasper Hendricks, Democratic strategist and chair of the Metro Fair Board. Good to see you, sir. Chris Hand with us for the very first time, conservative host at WTN Radio, not new to the area, just first time on the show. And back with us, Miriam Abel-Fazli, former Democratic 5th District congressional nominee. Delighted to see you. Guys, let's talk about the 7th District race. On Friday, if you were watching the news at all, you know that in the afternoon, we found out that President Trump was going to endorse a candidate in that race. Who does he endorse? Former Tennessee State Commissioner Matt Van Epps, General Services Commissioner, and right after that, Lee Reeves, who was considered among the top 4 Republicans to possibly win this thing, said, I'm out, I'm going to get out of the race, and I'm now going to endorse Van Epps. Steve, let's start over here. You broke the story, I believe, of Lee Reeves getting out. Is anybody else going to get out, and why did Trump do what he did?
Well, I think Stuart Cooper is indicated he's going to get out and endorse as well. You may see some others that are kind of lower on the feeding chain. I don't know that it's absolutely over because we don't know how many people banked votes in the early voting. But as Miriam and I were talking before, only 18,000 or so Republicans voted in early voting, 17,000 plus voted in the Democrat primary, which is a much closer range between the two parties in a district that's about 10 to 11 plus Republicans. So Republicans haven't been paying as much attention as you would expect with 11 candidates. And now we move to December 2nd after the vote next Tuesday, which interestingly, 9 out of 14 counties are on fall break. So you're not going to see a huge rush of votes next Tuesday either. And then December 2nd comes, with early voting ending over Thanksgiving break. So this is going to be low voter turnout. You guys have a shot at stealing it if Republicans don't unite.
And don't they know it? They're, and there's only, 4 Democrats in the race. I think
Trump's endorsement was a little surprising, by the way, because you had anti-Trumpers spending millions of dollars attacking Jody Barrett, and then Trump sides with their pick, Matt Van Epps. So it's like, somebody doesn't know who Matt Van Epps is if Trump's for him and the anti-Trumpers are also for him.
Well, I heard one Republican advocate today told me he felt that, and this Friday I heard this, that he felt like Trump had gotten some bad advice. Your take on why Trump jumped behind Van Epps and how much good it will do?
I don't know if it's going to help Matt Van Epps that much, because in a low voter turnout race, that's going to make some people sit at home. It's in the bag for Matt now, some people might think. I think it's going to help Jody Barrett. I think it's going to help Matt because a lot of conservatives didn't really like the Governor Lee endorsement. I think one thing that a lot of us at the table will agree about is Governor Lee hasn't been that great. We're going to disagree on why that reason is, but conservatives don't exactly like Governor Lee, hardcore conservatives. So that endorsement hurt him. The Trump endorsement, I think, is going to hurt him as well because people are going to stay home. I still think it's Jody Barrett's race to lose, personally, and maybe I'm the only one here at the table that thinks that, but I did have Congressman Burchett on my show on Friday, and he co-signed Jody Barrett.
He's always good for a soundbite.
Oh my gosh,
he's got things to say.
We always have the dadgummit counter going during an interview with Congressman Burchett.
Dadgummit.
Yep.
So did he endorse Van Epps or did he endorse Jody?
No, he endorsed Jody.
Wow, again, there were so many late endorsements after early voting ended this time, which, again, it'll be interesting to see how those numbers work.
We'll see.
Miriam, you've been in one of these races. Now, it was considered that maybe Jody Barrett of Dickson might have been the dark horse candidate because everybody was going after him. Is that the way you read those tea leaves? If you're the guy everybody's attacking?
Well, I thought it was interesting how you were saying that Trump went after Van Epps, the very guy that I heard Bezos' family money was going into, and sort of maybe opposition, which is maybe a smart move for Trump. He's like, ha, I'm going for your guy, so now you're out. So I think some of that movement is good. Barrett, I believe, voted against the vouchers. Is that right? So he had that on his record, right? But for some, that's very appealing, right? And so he's the guy who stands independently, very Trump, because everyone's got to toe that line, but also stands independently. So maybe he could get some of those voters that might be, need a little bit of sense of like we do what we believe in type of thing. although the vouchers now, are very popular and moved on. But I think Barrett is really interesting. I think what's more interesting are those numbers and how close they are. We have never, that I've seen since I've been here, had Dem and Republican primary numbers be that close. They're literally 1,000 points away, and I've never seen that. That's very exciting.
Well, that tells you, and what you were saying, trying to get the Democratic base fired up because they think they've got a chance, and they may have a chance. Of course, this is just the primary. We got to pick one of these 4 horses, but then if you can get them to do it again,
right? We got to make it through Tuesday, and without beating each other up any more than what they have been. And so, because all of any negative attention or negative news that's given now can be used in the general, and so we just have to stay focused and turn out the votes. I think that it's still, because it was early voting, it's hard to determine who will actually vote on Tuesday. If people decide to travel because they don't want to, brave the airport,
they're on fall break.
Maybe get stuck at the airport or trying to figure out how to get to the airport. They might be at home, but a lot of people will be out. It will be interesting to see what election day turnout will look like for both sides. But I think that Democrats right now are pretty energetic, and we will see the race being decided on probably on election day and not with their early vote numbers.
I think
I
Republicans...
want to keep talking about the 7th, but I've got to squeeze in a break, so hold that thought. We will be right back. You're watching Nashville in Focus on Fox 17.
You're watching Fox 17 News, Nashville in Focus.
We're back still talking about the 7th District congressional race because it is just crazy now. Steve, you were about to make a point.
I was just going to say that Republicans are hoping that Afton Ben, who is the self-described and embraced AOC of Tennessee, is y'all's nominee. If it's Darden Copeland, Republicans have a problem because he's a more moderate, well-funded candidate. But if it's Afton, I think Republicans are high-fiving election night.
Dems feel the same way. If it's Gino, that's an easier guy to beat than, if it is Van Epps.
I don't think Gino has a shot in the world. I think he's a very nice guy. He's been on my show quite a few times. He's done great with fundraising, but as far as the people on the ground that I'm speaking to, because we get thousands of texts every day,
sure,
nobody likes Gino.
Okay.
And
yet he keeps popping back up again.
He does.
He's relentless.
You mentioned the money. My recollection is from the, the statements that came out, he had a little over $500,000, and he'd put a $500,000 in, and he'd only raised maybe $55,000, from people. That hurts you if you don't, because Governor, gosh, who am I thinking about? Phil Bredesen. The first time he ran, he did it all with his own money, and people like to have some buy-in.
I think Jody was frightening to the leadership in Washington. That's why you saw Jim Jordan and some of the moderates say we want Van Epps, because Jody will do the same thing he's done in Tennessee in the legislature. He has been a bane of existence for Cameron Sexton and the leadership. They don't want another Marjorie Taylor Greene. They don't want another bomb thrower. And that's his appeal in this district. But that's why you saw, left and right in the Republican side coalesce behind Van Epps. And I think that's why they were able to pull the Trump endorsement.
And I think that's why people like Jody Barrett in a low voter turnout kind of thing. That's why you're going to be motivated to go and vote for that guy.
As they would say, it ain't over till it's over. It was not over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, and it's not over in this race.
Well, I got to ask this, and Jesper, please take a bite at this. So you're a bad guy in Congress if you vote your conscience and you dare to disagree with a party. I only want people I can control.
Well, that's what we started going down the wrong path. With what we're seeing now, this hyper polarization, within politics, because there was a time when we could agree to disagree. We could work together and create compromise, because at the end of the day, you're elected to represent the citizens.
No. Your only job is to support the administration. I think you misunderstand your
it's
job.
a loyalty test.
Right.
That's what they all say, pretty much. I mean, if you listen to what they say, they say,
and
we're here to
Lee
support
Reeves'
the Trump agenda.
letter said that, like, no matter what, I'll continue to bow down to Trump, even though I'm very brokenhearted.
Now, who said this?
In his letter. In Lee Reeves' letter, he says, he broke up with me. It's painful as hell, but I will continue to bow down to him. And
I still won't date other women.
It was wild to me.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
They used the exact words, bow down.
Yes.
I don't know if he said bow down.
It's very long, didn't need to be that long, and it goes through that. So that indicates the kind of loyalty that's required. But with the splits that we're seeing, like you said, the Marjorie Greene Taylor and whatnot, I think it is really important that you get a loyalist and that they're proving it, and that you don't get any rogue. And that's fun to see on our side, because you always think think, oh, the other side is so much more solid, but they're not. Once you get power, you start to have differences of opinion. And
I think it
on
speaks
your
more to
show-
the popularity of Donald Trump than anything else.
On your show, they all, it's pretty much one-sided. Do people respect that Jody Barrett stands up on his own, says no to Trump when he thinks he's wrong, says no to the governor when he thinks he's wrong?
Yep, 100%.
So the people like that?
And a lot of the conservatives that listen to my show are not fans of Governor Lee. He is not a popular figure in Tennessee politics. He's not a popular figure in the Republican Party or the conservatives that I speak with. And Jody Barrett does stand on his own. A lot of people do respect his pushback against school vouchers. And now when you see those tax dollars being used towards Islamic schools and pushing that kind of ideology into the community, people are really respecting his choice to stay away from school vouchers even more. So I think people do like Jody a lot.
It may be just me, and I want to hear what you guys think, but when I am away from here and outside Nashville, I don't have a lot of people saying I'm loving the school voucher thing from either party.
No.
Well, no, and it's happening across the country. We're seeing that budgets are being busted, and especially right now when we're having federal government funding issues. It's exacerbating the state budget issues that states are having. Where we're seeing states having to go back into special session. So Tennessee has just decided to make cuts. So they're cutting funding from programs like SNAP and from child care to avoid coming back to a special session to address the funding issues.
Because they know it's coming.
And so what happens in January? Well, budget hearings are starting at the end of October, so we'll see.
And the math on the vouchers never mathed.
Right.
It never did. It was just like we ride off into the sunset and hopefully it all works out, and it increases every year. It did anybody that looked at it, but the problem was that it was so outside funded. There was so much pressure coming from the outside. Year one, you had superintendents, everybody here testifying against it pretty much unanimously. Year two, suddenly it's changed a little bit. You had elections, a lot of money was thrown into it.
Well, that's what
and
happens.
it was brutal to be there. I was there for most of the session.
And that's what happens, and that's the problem when when the only people that you're talking to are people who agree with you,
Or are funding it.
and funding and not having conversations with other people who could maybe add a different perspective, and actually get you to think about something. But you also will have to listen to them. But Democrats did warn before that, hey, this math and what we're seeing in states that have approved this, we see the problems they're going through, and we're trying to help you avoid this. And as my boss says, sometimes she has to quote 3-6 Mafia, don't save them, they don't want to be saved.
No.
Well, in Arizona, they had the same budget expectations this year. Now it's $1 billion cost.
problems.
It's breaking their budget. And in Sumner County, the entire Republican school board opposed it. Johnny Garrett voted for it. Todd
running
Warner
for
voted
Congress
against
right
it.
now.
Yeah. Right.
Jody Barrett voted against
I've
it.
got to squeeze in a break. I hate to. We've got such a great panel. We will pick it up right here when we come back. You are watching Nashville in Focus. We will be right here.
You're watching Fox 17 News, Nashville in Focus.
Now we're still on the 7th. Two more things, interesting things. And these things would have made bigger news if President Trump hadn't weighed in. But Cammie Gunther Green, Martin Green's ex-wife, endorsed Jody Barrett in the 7th, Green backing Van Epps. Steve, that would have made some bigger news because it's like, but now it's like footnote next.
Yeah.
I don't think it moves that many votes that she endorsed.
No, it's just
but
interesting.
It did get tongues wagging
Yeah.
and did get a lot of talk. And then there were the rumors that no matter who wins, Cammie's going to run in August for the seat in the primary because it'll be one-on-one. And if Cammie runs, one really kind of not nice comment was, okay, I took half the house of Mark, now I'm going to take his house seat. So I don't think that's going to happen.
No,
but
but it's savage.
it did get
It's a
stuff
good
talking.
story.
Yeah.
Good story. And Chris, I'm sure you guys probably heard about this. There was this mailer going
Yes.
around, essentially browbeating Republicans in the district. But we know you haven't voted. Party leaders are disappointed in you. We will call after the election to talk about whether you voted or not. I don't know who was behind it, but
Smells like Democrats,
well,
I can tell you that much. It doesn't smell like
wasn't
it's
the-
a
actually,
conservative.
I don't think we
Now,
would be
Doc
spending our
protests
money on
too
anything like
much.
that.
Yeah, you guys would never do anything like that.
We
I'm
would spend
sure.
our money communicating with our voters.
Yeah, I don't know if you
This
know,
is
but the money is on the
sure.
Republican
But this
side,
is
not on the
indicative
Democrat side.
to the bullying that actually has been happening on that side. Like,
was-
I mean, they fought about this in session about we shouldn't be able to vote in different primaries. Why are we all voting
Yeah,
in
we
different
should- we
primaries?
should close
And so this
primaries.
is actually
I
their
think we absolutely
very
should.
hot issue.
Yeah.
So to act like we care about this.
I mean, well, we knew during the presidential race that you guys were coming over and voting for Nikki Haley in Republican primaries. Why would we? Why would
Yeah,
we
but-
want you guys? Why would we want Democrats voting in conservative
if
primaries?
you're the majority of this state, you're not worried about 1 or 2 or 10 Democrats coming over.
I think the numbers would be a little bit bigger
it was
than
a
that.
very hot issue in the legislative session. I saw the
Yeah,
representatives
I believe
fighting
in
over
close
it,
primaries.
and I'm not surprised they did a flyer.
It was Steve,
I don't think that they did the flyer.
any scuttlebutt about who was behind it, because there's so much PAC money from out of state in play in this race.
This came out of Austin, Texas. The mail
Thank
code
you.
number that did it was a Republican.
I knew the company
house
was a
in
Republican.
Yes.
Texas,
Company.
but they're not willing to release who paid
Nobody
for
has
it. But
money
Scott
for
Golden,
this.
the Republican Party chairman, says he's already talked to the U.S. attorney. They're talking to the party in Texas. This group has done a lot of business for the party in Texas.
Okay.
They're going to get to the bottom of who did it because it's probably illegal election interference because it didn't properly say in a federal election who sourced it. So somebody's going to pay a price for it.
I did look for it, I think I might have sent that to you as soon as I got it, just to, we share information in that way. But there was nothing on there that would allow you to figure out who was behind it.
I called the mail house 3 times and surprisingly nobody called me back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Good job.
Right. I mean, it's a good example. Throw the rock, hide your hand. Type of thing. So we'll see. It's gonna be even more interesting after the primary is over. So
I cannot wait until we have 2 candidates and a couple
Right,
of
because there's
out
3
there.
seats open right now in Congress. This is one of them. The other 2 are Democratic seats. One Democrat already won, waiting to be sworn in, and the other special election is coming up, in the next few weeks in Houston for that seat. So this seat, the
numbers are tight.
Yeah,
And how much money is going to come in like a month's time? I mean, the thing is December 2nd.
Second.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
So
millions.
I'm really curious about that.
And the PACs that spent in this race, these big
Yes.
out-of-state super PACs,
Yeah.
they haven't had to disclose their donations. Who in Tennessee donated to the anti-Trump super PACs that used money to attack Jody Barrett? That's going to come eventually, and we'll be writing about it.
I'll look forward to reading that. I've got to squeeze in a break right here. We've got another topic that we haven't discussed, and that's something happened in Memphis that made a little news this week. We're going to talk about that next.
You're watching Fox 17 News, Nashville in Focus.
In our final segment of the president's effort to restore law and order in Memphis, it's already resulted in a couple of hundred arrests. Jasper, you were down there last Sunday, right before it started. It doesn't seem to have played out in a super negative way. I haven't even heard Democrats fussing a whole lot. Your thoughts?
No, I think what has happened, there are meetings that have happened, there are meetings that are continuing to happen. The mayor of Memphis was here Thursday evening. I got a chance to speak to him and talk to him, make sure that he was getting some rest and, and taking care of himself and his family during this process and this ordeal, because it has been a constant, 24 hours a day, type of thing, just monitoring, making sure that things are happening the way that it should. I think what they've come in to do and what they have been doing is assisting, law enforcement, and not necessarily
Martial law not
being,
happening.
right, being in the front, and being first point of contact. They're only they're only coming into contact with people if they are asked for assistance, right now. So we'll see, and see if the temperature will stay, this way. But we still see, we have witnessed, day to day that comments are being made, and we just ask that our federal leaders, our national leaders, do not try to incite, people.
Do not try.
What kind of comments?
Pam Bondi was down there the other
What
day.
kind of comments?
So was the Secretary of
Right,
Defense.
right,
comments do you
exactly.
make?
Yeah, so, right,
So my question is, if they're just assisting the police when they need it, why are they there? I mean, what is this performative?
Have you seen Memphis?
Yeah, but if it is,
Why are they there?
if they are just standing
they've
back.
been top 5 in the murder rate for how long?
I understand that,
That's
and then
why
in 2
they're
weeks
there.
it's going to go 85% down, and then it'll go back.
It worked in D.C.
Yeah,
Their
and how
presence
is
is
it?
You think
absolutely
they're going to be gone in
deterrent.
a month, Miriam?
They have to be. Don't they have to
Well,
be
No,
gone?
the governor
No,
can
they
direct
don't. The
these.
governor, yeah. So it's
they can
different.
stay
So
local.
what's
Because it's not
happening? So
DC.
what's happening? Yeah, it's not DC. But what we're seeing is that like we talked before, Memphis needs a lot of things. Memphis needs teachers. Memphis needs
cops.
Memphis needs assistants.
Opportunities?
They're 200 officers
Who
down.
wants to be a cop in Memphis these days?
with-
With the violence on the rise, the media against
Violence is
law
not
enforcement.
on, Memphis is not on the rise. Media is not against law enforcement.
Media is absolutely against law
Media is
enforcement.
not against law
No,
enforcement.
you're watching the wrong
I think
media,
that
my
what
man.
I think that what people need to understand is that in addition to the law enforcement, there needs to be investments in services, and those services have gone away.
but you
And
guys-
Chicago
you guys-
is a great example of
for-
that, right?
you
guys
He's-
have been-
The Chicago mayor has been turning this around for quite some time.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got data to prove it, and he's talking about the programs
If you
he's
don't
invested
count
in.
crimes, it looks like it's going down.
Thank you.
And
Well,
keep
no,
in mind
no,
that
if you only wanna
Memphis
focus-
City
if you-
Council
if you only
reduced
wanna
pay for
report-
cops from 5% to 3% the pay raise this time. They reduced the Memphis City Council. There was a 5% promise for cops. They cut it to 3%, and yeah, they're 200 cops.
But there
down,
also,
y'all
but
won't pay
there's
them.
also other monies coming in for police officers.
Democrats have been in
and
control
for
of Memphis
police,
since 1992,
and
and you've
for
been
police,
touting
and for police work.
investments in other
and there have
programs.
been, and crime has gone down. Crime has been
Crime
gone
down
down
this week.
in
Robberies are
Memphis.
down 75%.
No, they were down before.
Car thefts are
And
down
they were-
80%.
What is this
down
really
before.
about? I
They
mean,
were-
really,
they
what
were
is
down
this, what is
before.
this about?
Saving a once great American city.
And so when
Memphis
they
has always been a
leave,
great American city.
what has been left there?
You know
What
what
is
we
the
need to do?
legacy? What
Tell
are
you
the
what,
seeds you're
when you
planting?
when you
We're
have
going to have
young
to leave it
kids-
there because I am out of time.
Quit
But
shooting
we
people
can
in
do another
Memphis, it'll
show.
be better.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Or
Thank you for
Nashville or
watching.
anywhere
See you
else.
next time.
With your guns.